Today we've got we're going to just go over OOP, text files, string handling together with text files, and general questions with regards to question 1 and 3. And if we have time, I will touch a little on arrays. Now, probably in your trial exams, you are going to get parallel arrays, like basically where you're going to be storing your you're going to be storing your names, for example, in one array, and marks or scores in another array. And what are some of the things they could ask you with regards to arrays? Sort the arrays, find the highest, find the lowest, calculate sum, calculate average. For example, with arrays, if you have names in one array and you've got scores in another array, you could actually count the number of people that actually succeeded with that test. You have a pass and fail and percentages, etc. More importantly, though, I came across a question yesterday. It's basically where they were using OOP, text files, and arrays. And that's something that we will look at before your final exams. So today, right, like I said, OOP, we're looking at the May-June 2019 paper. And we're going to be looking at text files. And these are certain things. These are things that you definitely will use in your examination. You might not use it in this particular question, but you'll use it, right? So from yesterday, though, right? Yesterday, I told you that I needed to go back and check how to get data from your DB grid. And basically, guys, it's just like your ADO table, right? If you look at this, EID is of type string. My DB grid dot fields index 0. Now, why index 0? If you look at this column is 0. This column is 1. That's 2. That's 3. It's like our databases. So when you click here, it's going to get 758. Did come across one error, though. With regards to this, it kept giving me that multi-step error. But if you look at this here, if I go and put, say, 5,000, right? So basically, when we click the button, it's whichever row is active in the DB grid, it's going to get the log ID, the first field. It's going to open the table, right? Don't worry about that line for now. It's going to locate that ID, and it's definitely going to be true. Then you put your hour logs table into edit mode, and you basically change your hours worked, your fourth field, and dot post to make the change. So let's go and look at it, right? I'm going to come here. Well, I'm not even worried about that. I'm going to look at 760, right? I'm going to look at 760, right? Log ID 760, it's hours worked 200. And if I update hours, okay. I just give me a moment. Just going to take that out. Okay. Right. So I'm choosing 760. The hours worked is 200. I'm going to enter 500 now and update. And oh, that still give me an error, and it worked earlier. Let's come here. 760. But basically, that's how you're going to get it, right? But let's leave that for now. Okay, by this afternoon, guys, we will have yesterday's video. and today's videos uploaded, so you will have access to it for revision purposes. Okay, I'm just going to come here. Close all, no. Right, this is your question 3. Well, basically this 2019 paper, the scenario is a nursery. And if you read the scenario, Star Nursery invites learners from local schools to a voluntary training program as part of a community initiative. Learners who are used as trainees must attend training sessions to enable them to assist customers with inquiries and with the sale of plants. So you need to do the following: open the incomplete question 3 folder, open the trainee u.pass, but you are not going to open this program, this question this way. You are going to open it like this. Now, I just want to show you something. Some of us don't know this. You'll notice that all of my files here, I've got a .dcu, a .pas. Those are your file extensions. And generally, most PCs, they look like that. So you go and click on View, your View tab on the top, come here to File Name Extensions, click on that, and then it gives you much more information. And this is what you're going to open, your DPR. So let's double click on the DPR and it'll open that, but here it is. I'm just gonna close that page. There it is. Now we want our unit. Now, if you look at the question, they're talking about trainee u.pass. We come here, and if you look under your project manager on this side, you have trainee u.pass. Double click on that, and there we go. Now, from last week, right, we did objects, and basically these are your fields. They've actually declared it for you, right? Our fields normally start with the word F. One of the things you need to understand that it is under the private, but it exists everywhere. It exists everywhere in this class. The name of the class is Trainee. These are my 4 fields. And you'll notice that you've got F hours, comma, F sales of type real. We could do this and it's the same thing, or we could declare it separately, right? Because sometimes you want to declare each one on a separate line. So you could have done this. Oh, you could have done that, and that's fine. All right. They've actually did the constructor create for you, right? Now, basically, it's a special method. It starts with the word constructor, create, and this constructor create is receiving only 2 parameters, trainee ID and S name. So trainee ID will go in there and S name will go in there. So if you're looking at this, it's not receiving values for this. Now, I've noticed in the past, there were learners who sent all of the fields. They sent all of the fields as parameters, and you actually lose those marks. So you need to answer the question. They've done the constructor create for you. So basically what's going to happen is, from our form, we're going to send the trainee ID. It's going to come into iTrainee ID. We're going to send the name. It's going to come into name. And if you look at your constructor create here, right, it's assigning what it received from here. Can you see that? To your attribute or your field or your class variable. It's assigning S name to F name, and it's setting F hours to 0 and F sales to 0. Remember, these here, get trainee ID, it's a method, it's a function that returns your F variable, your F trainee ID. Remember, a function that returns a field value is called an accessor. All right. And obviously we have mutators. Now this is a bit of an error over here. I'm just going to put this within single quotes, otherwise it'll give us a problem. Now the first thing that you actually do once you open your program is you run it. That's the first thing. You don't do any code or anything. You just run it to make sure that it's running. All right, we can close that. We're going to come back here, and this is where we're going to be answering the following questions. Now, yes, at the end of the year, they'll tell you enter your examination number as a comment in the first line of both. You're not going to do this for your preparatory or trial exams, but basically, can you see this here? Now, remember, you are in matric. So your name, your teacher's name, your school name cannot appear here or in any answer script, because that is an irregularity. And trust me, you won't get your results. There'll be an investigation, etc. Right? So I think most of our schools, it's the center number, right? Your examination number. I'm just giving you an example, right? Might be 089, and you will put it at the beginning of every program that you open. That's the first thing that you do. Put it in, run it. Okay, and that is a comment. So this is what our GUI looks like. Now, we've got a combo box and we've got a button. We've got a bit button here to close. The program will use the number of hours of training and the value of the sales made to determine whether or not the trainee qualifies for a bonus. So number of hours and sales. What does that mean? We're going to be using these two things to determine whether the trainee qualifies for a bonus. So complete the code as specified in question 3.1 for the trainee U object class, which is what we're looking at. 3.1, the incomplete object class T trainee. There, T trainee equal class, that's your object class. You don't really need this here, but yep. Okay, it actually contains code for the declaration of the 4 attributes. These are your 4 attributes. A constructor create method. There's your constructor create there, and there's the actual definition of what it does there. An incomplete toString method. The purpose, like I said last week, of a toString method is to take all of your field values, put it together, and return everything, right? As a single string. And you have 2, there we go, accessor methods, get name and get trainee ID, right? This is not part of the question before we even look at the question, but I'm going to say, let's create a mutator method, right? Because you will be asked to do things like that. Create a mutator method that will receive a name and change the name of the trainee. A mutator method is a procedure, and it starts with the word set. You got that? And it doesn't return anything, but it will receive the same data type as what it's going to change. So S name and F name must be the same. And I told you this last week. Click at the end and you hold down CTR plus Shift plus C. And that Shift Control C, and it will open up the skeleton of your set name. And set name, it's very, very easy, because look here under create, we said F name is assigned S name. Since I called it S name as well, guys, it's going to be the same thing. Control spacebar, and there. That's your mutator method. right? So methods are either procedures of functions or special method constructor. Coming back to the question, they're giving you an explanation of what each of the attributes actually mean, right? Your ID, trainee ID is a unique number to identify. It's like a primary key from databases. Name and surname, so obviously more than one value there. Hours, number of hours the trainee attended, and sales, the amount of sales the trainee made. Okay, the number of hours of training attended by the trainee and the amount of the sales made can be increased. This is important now because there's a big difference to what I'm about to show you. I'm going to show you two things. Write code for a method called update hours that receives. Now, when you see the word receives, it means you're going to need a parameter. So what's it called? Update hours, and it's going to receive, and it says a meaning one. It's going to receive one value. And what data type is hours? Hours is of type integer. So the value that it's going to receive will also be of type integer. And it says increase the hours. It does not say change the hours attribute. It says increase, right? So how do we, by the received parameter value. So how do we go about doing that? Once again, we come up here. This is where we are. And the question says it's going to receive a value and you must increase it. It doesn't say anything about returning. So it's going to be a procedure. As soon as you see the word return or send back, or the phrase send back, it means function. So it's procedure. And what is the name here? Update hours, right? Update hours. And it's going to receive something. So I'm going to call it I hours, and hours is of type, oh, sorry, hours is of type real, my mistake. Okay, so real, oh, semicolon goes there, and Shift Control C. Now, this is the difference, okay? If I come here now, the hours attribute is called F hours, is assigned I hours. And is that correct? Am I answering the question? The question says increase the hours. I didn't increase it. I just replaced it. So the trainee could have trained for 10 hours. Then I send 5. It'll replace the 10 with the 5. What happened to the 10? So to increase it, we actually do this. Plus, can you see that? So F hours is assigned F hours plus I hours. You're increasing it. So obviously, if it said decrease, this will become a minus. If they said double it, you could say times 2, that kind of thing. Okay, remember, save all. All right. Now, what I actually like to do is this over here. As soon as I do that, I'll go, run the program just to see it's running. There are no errors. Why? If there's an error, I can try to sort it out immediately. I go and put 50 or 60 lines of code, and then I try running. I come up with 20 errors, and I don't know where the error is. So each part that you do doesn't take long. Just run it, make sure that it's working. All right, moving on. Now, this is 3.1.1, another thing. In the examination, you'll notice there are no numbers here. Can you see that? There are no numbers here, right? So what I would do is, before this procedure, / 3.1.1, and what is it? A. So when your teacher or the markers at the marking center are marking, they can easily find your answer for each question, okay? And 3.1.1b, Write code for a method called update sales that receives a value as a parameter. Sales is of type real, guys. So it's going to receive a value and also increase the sales. So it's very similar to our previous question. So we're going to come here. And what was it? Update sales. It's also going to be a procedure. And this is not going to be I, people. It's going to be R. I'll have to go and change that just now. And update sales, and it's going to be R sales of type real, and shift control and C. And I need to change this to R because it's real. And here, once again, F sales is assigned. Oh. F sales plus R sales. Guys, if I'm going too fast, please put your hand up or send me a message. All right. So once again, run it. Oh, sorry about that. Run it, running. Okay, let's go back to the question. Okay. 3.1.2. Write code for a method called qualifies for bonus. The method must return a Boolean value true. Now, what does that tell us so far? Think about it, guys. Write code for a method called qualifies bonus. The method must return a Boolean value true. So is that going to be a function or a procedure? Anybody? I'm so amazed at the response. I mean, come on, everybody's putting their hands up to answer. I don't know who to actually ask. It's going to be a function because it's going to return, and a function has a data type. It's going to be of type Boolean. It's going to return either true or false. So we get here, and it's going to be function qualifies for bonus. And is it receiving anything? The method must return. It doesn't say anything about receiving, but it's definitely going to return of type Boolean. Shift Control C. And here we are. Let's go on. A trainee qualifies for a bonus if the following conditions are met. Now, if you look at the way the conditions are given, at least 15 hours of training was attended. The amount of sales is at least 12,000. That basically means both those conditions must be true, not just one. Now, what does at least mean? At least, that means the minimum must be 15. So it can be 15 or more. Important. At least means 15 or more, or that value and more. At most means that value or less, right? So it's going to be 15 or more hours. And the sales, it says at least 1,200. So it's going to be 1,200 or more. Now, they're talking about hours and they're talking about sales. Now, children have made this mistake in the past where they went and input sales values and hours. What you need to understand is these things are already here. They already exist. When constructor create was called, these things got values. When we called update hours and update sales, it kept increasing it, right? So qualifies for bonus, Shift Control C. Oh, I already did that. There we go. So there are two ways of actually answering this. One, I can declare a Boolean variable here. I'm going to call it qualifiers of type Boolean. And then I'm going to come here. And remember, it's an and. It means both conditions must be true. So we can do it in two different ways. This way, if you look at this, I'm going to come here and say, I'm going to assume that the learner did not qualify. Did I spell this? Oh, I must have the equal to there. All right. I'm going to assume that they didn't qualify. But if, and because I'm going to be using an and, if hours, remember, it's 15 or more, so that's greater than equal to 15. And if sales is greater than equal to 1,200, then qualifies is assigned true. Can you see the logic there? Normally, we would use an if then else. You can do it that way, right? If you do it that way, I'm just showing you the different ways, right? I can take that out from there. And how do I return? Result is assigned qualifies. So if it satisfies both conditions, qualifies will be true. If it doesn't, qualifies will become false, and it will return either true or false. That is one way. Okay. This is what I was showing you just now, right? And this is the other way where we don't really need an else. Okay, so that's method one. This, if we're going to assume it's false, but if they satisfy both the conditions, then it's true and it will return, right? Let's comment that out. Okay. And then using both the same methods, guys, right? Using both the same methods without using an and, qualifiers is assigned false. And here we go, right? If hours is greater than equal to 15, then if sales is greater than equal to 1,200, then qualifies is assigned true. Each of these segments are doing the exact same thing. Each of these segments are doing the exact same thing. So I could use the if then in both those instances, the same methods, and it would work, right? We'll just leave this one for now. That is for your reference purposes. I actually prefer this method better than any other method because it's much more logical, right? Because sometimes with the and, things don't work out. Right, so let's go run that. And it runs. Let's close it. Let's come back to our question. Now, what did I not do? What question number is this? This is 3.1.2. Okay, and 3.1 point, and this one here is 3.1.1 V. Right, save. Coming back. Write code to complete the provided toString method to return a string, a single string in the following format. Now, the name and surname of the trainee, and in brackets will be the trainee ID, the word attended, and then it'll be the number of hours of training they attended. Now you'll notice that, look at here, 65.66, right? It's 2 decimal places. And then you're going to have the phrase hours of training and sold plants to the value of, and then the value of the plants, right? To the value of 1405. Now, this is your sales, right? You're accumulating sales. Each time you do a new sale, we call it update sales, it will increase the sales. So that's your F sales. So this is, see where I got Cody Shaw? That's going to be F name. This is going to be F trainee ID. This is going to be F hours, and this is going to be F sales. And you'll notice that after the word sold, it actually moves to the next line. So a little bit tricky. Let's go and look at it. All right. So we need our toString. And this is a little bit different from the toStrings we normally use to. Okay, here we go. We've got here result is assigned F name. Can you see this, guys? Right? And you've got a dot here. Is there a dot anyway there? Oh, that's a full stop. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do this a little differently. And this is what I've done with my pupils all the years. And this makes it easy to actually follow. S out, because that's what I'm going to be returning of type string. I'm going to leave that there because this is what I'm going to do. The first thing I need is S out is assigned. I need F name. Yeah. F name. And in brackets, we need brackets. Okay. Plus, can you see this? Open bracket plus trainee ID is of what type? Trainee ID is of type integer. So check this out. We're going to convert it. So it's going to be into string F trainee ID plus, and I'm going to close the bracket. So what this actually does is, guys, it'll take the trainee ID and we are putting the brackets around it. Okay. We've got that there. We need a space. Can you see we need a space after the brackets? So let's go and look at that. So there's a space there and there's a space there, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say semicolon because I want everything to fit on the screen. So I'm going to go with S out is assigned S out plus. What's the next part do we need? Attended, and we got our hours, right? So we're going to come over here. Attended space and hours. Hours is of what type? Real. So it's going to be, and we want it to 2 decimal places. Float to string F. F hours, comma, triple F, FF fixed, comma, 10, comma, 2, right? And I'm going to put a semicolon there. So we've got that so far, right? Hours. Now we need of training and sold, of training and sold. So once again, S out is assigned S out plus of training and sold. Okay, space of training and sold, space. Now you'll notice that here it moved on to the next line. So I'm going to come here and say plus hash 13. So that's going to move it to the next line. So you must understand something. All of this up until this point is on one line, and then it'll move it to the next line. And I'm carrying on, adding on to the S out variable. So S out is assigned S out plus what's left. And sold. The next part is plants to the value of. So it's going to be plants to the value of space and a value of the plants sold formatted to currency 2 decimal places to the value of, and we need that. And how do we do that? It's going to be plus float to string F. What are we displaying? F sales, comma, FFC, control space bar, that'll give you currency, comma, 10, comma, 2, and semicolon. That's it, guys. So if you look at it, everything that we need to return is in S out. So all I'm simply going to do is here, return S out. S out has everything that I want. Let's go and run it. Okay, so that's fine. And I think that was the last question for the first part. So let's go look at it. We've got 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 4 is 15. Now, let me tell you something. And I did mention this last week. Let's assume you're actually doing something, a calculation that you have to return something. Here we go. Let's assume you get this part wrong. What you would do is do that part, declare your variable, and the first thing you do is going to put the result is assign qualifies. And then come back up here and you can do your code. So even if your code is wrong here, you're still going to get 2 marks, 1 mark there, 1 mark there, because there are marks allocated for it. All right. So you might get the calculation part or the decision part wrong, but you're still going to get marks. So out of 5, if you get 2, that's 40%. So do not leave, right? If it's a function, go in immediately, put your result. Okay. So that was 4, 6, 11. That's 15 marks out of 40. All right. So moving on now. Now we have the incomplete unit. Question 3U has been provided. An object variable, object trainee. Let's go look at that. We're looking at that there. Code. Scroll down. There we go. Object trainee. Now, understand one thing, like I mentioned last week, that all of these fields, I can only access them through this object. This object is like the middleman. It's like, you know, you got a very powerful person and you need to communicate to them. You can't communicate to them directly. You got to communicate with their personal assistant and they will pass your request on. Similarly, an object is like your middleman. So we're going to be using that. More importantly, a text file called Logbook Txt contains the log entries of all the training and the sales activities of the trainees. Let's go and look at that. you would actually go to your data folder. There's a logbook.txt. I already opened it and I just narrowed this here. And if you look at it, right, if you look at it, if you look at the format, we've got a number and then we got a separator. Your separator is actually a semicolon, and then we've got a hash. So there are 3 items of data, right? And you have 2 different delimiters, these separators, they're called delimiters, right? So let's go and see what the question tells us. A text file, logbook txt, contains the log entries of the training and sales activities of the trainees. So each log entry contains information of a trainee. We've got trainee ID, semicolon, the character T or S. What are they telling us? That the second important piece of data in that line, the second part in that line can either be a T or an S. It can't be anything else, a capital T or a capital S. Now this indicates T for training or S for a sale that was made. Then we have a hash, and the next part represents one of 2 things. It's a numerical value, and you'll notice that it's of type real. Can you see the decimal? So it either indicates the number of hours of training or the value of the sale that was made, right? So how do we know which is which? If there's a T, then that refers to the number of hours of training. If it is an S, then that is actually a sale. And obviously, this is your training ID. And what that basically means is if you look at this, 12 and 12, 10 and 10, 13 and 13. So they've done quite a bit because you got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and they are repeated. So let's move on. They explain to you the first 2 lines of text can be interpreted as follows. The trainee ID number 12 attended 0.98 hours of training. T for training, 0.98 for number of hours, and that's your trainee ID. If you look at the second one, you've got a trainee ID of 15 that made a sale of 182 rands. And why is it a sale? Because of the S. So 3.2.1. The user must select the name of a trainee from the combo box CMB trainee. Code is provided to do the following. Code is provided to extract the name from the combo box, and secondly, to assign an ID. So let's go and look at that here. Now I want you to look at this. What exactly does it mean? You see in your combo box, I'm just going to run this just to explain. When you click this, Cody Shaw is the first item of data, the first item in your combo box. And Cody is at position 0. It's called your item index. All of these are items, and the position in which they appear in the combo box, that's called their index. So item index. So if you come here and you look at our code, we first get the item index, and we get the item from that position. Where are we getting it from? CMB Trainee. I do want to show you this. You could have done this. Oh, still running. S name is assigned CMB trainee dot. There we go. And that will do the same thing as the line immediately above people, right? It will do the exact same thing. So using .txt is a hell of a lot easier. It is also important to know how to use this, because when we have lists, you actually use this to get the data from list. You can't use that. All right. So, sorry, one moment. Okay. So, right, they're doing that for us. They're assigning an ID, write code to do the following, use the provided variables sname and iTrainee ID and instantiate. Now, what on earth does instantiate actually mean? It means you are creating an instance of that class, of the Trainee class. You're creating an object, right? You're creating it. All right? You're creating it with these values. And then obviously, you'll notice here it says, secondly, set button Q322 to be visible. Let's go do that first. Okay. Button 322. All right, let's go do that first. In here, I will, how do we do this? btn 322 dot visible is assigned true. If it's false, then it'll make it invisible. So I'm not doing anything but, there you go. Can you see that? Now, since we're talking about that, are you listening? I can do this. Now, just to show you very quickly, because this is the general stuff that I was talking about right at the beginning. I can still click. Can you see this here? I can still click. It's changing color. Yes. Now, if I did this, is assigned false, enabled, false, it means disabled. So I can click that, you'll notice it's grayed out. Why? Because I disabled it. I set enable to false, right? So this is just something that you would need to know. They could ask you this in question 1. Now we've got our 2 variables here, sname, we've got iTrainee ID, and we've got obj trainee, our object. So how do we instantiate it? Obj trainee is assigned. Now, this is the only time we actually use the name of the class. The only time we use the name of the class in a statement, right? So it's Trainee dot create. We'll come back to this just now. I'm going to go back. I can't remember. What is it receiving? It's receiving the ID first and then the name, right? You need to get that order correct. If we go and call it S, let's try that out. It's expecting an integer and then a string. Let's go and do this. Let's go and say sname. Can you notice it didn't come up when I press Control spacebar, comma sorry. Okay, can you see that? And I'm going to go run it. And it's going to give me an error. And you know what this error is? The first parameter it's expecting is of type integer. But what is it? What am I sending? I'm sending a string. So this must come out from there. I'm going to send trainee ID first, comma, and see, then it comes up. I'm just going to come here and put a message to say, this is just to help me. Okay, so let's go check it out. Oh, it runs. And then I'll just go and click anything, click trainee object instantiated, and it makes our 3.22 button visible. So Okay. Then okay. Example of the GUI, Cody Show, click. Can you see the button is visible? We've done that. And okay, 3.2.1. Now we've got 3.2.2 and 3.2.2. Write code to do the following. Check whether or not the logbook.txt file exists. If the file does not exist, display a suitable message and close the program. Display a suitable message and close the program. So let's go and look at that part first. Okay. If it doesn't exist. Okay. So what's the name of my text file? Logbook.txt. So I'm going to come here, and the very first thing I'm going to do is if not, and this is a reserved word, if not file exists, and this is your physical file. I'll explain this to you just now, right? This is your physical file, so it's going to be logbook.txt. It is logbook.txt, that's correct. If it doesn't, now file exists will return true if it exists. If it returns false, what's not false? Not false is true. You got it? Now, I don't need to use the not, people. So please pay careful attention. I don't need to use the not. This is what I can do. If the file exists, then obviously I'm going to be doing some work with it. Yes. So begin, end. Now, if it doesn't exist, then I need an else part. Begin. I'm going to come over here and say, show message file not found. And how do I close the program? Application dot terminate. So nothing is happening here right now. Okay, so let's go check it out. I'm going to change this name. I'm going to call it Logbooks Q. That doesn't exist. Okay, I'm just going to click there. Okay, why is that? I put this code in the wrong place. Sorry about that, people. It should be here. Yeah, we make those mistakes. There we go. File not found. Now, if I can correct the name, because sometimes we can spell the name incorrectly, people. Now, nothing is going to actually happen when I click this button. Why? The file exists, but it's coming here and there's no code here. So obviously, if the file doesn't exist, it's going to come to this part and it's going to stop the program. So the other way of doing it with the not, are you listening? With the not, it would be, okay, I'm just going to do that because it'll be there for you to actually have a look at it for comparison purposes. And let's do this. If not, if it doesn't exist, then you see this thing here, guys, must come there. And it works just the same. So let's go and put WE in there. There, doesn't exist. See, works the same way. Okay, so you can either do it that way or you can do it this way. So over here, if the file exists, we can do the code there. Over here, if the file exists, we come and do the code here. Now, we need to open the text file. How do we go about opening the text file? Firstly, we need something called a text file variable to access the text file. So we come up here under var, and I'm going to call it T file of type text file, new data type, right? Text file. Okay, now remember, a text file stores lines of text of string. Each line in a text file is of type string. So I need a string variable, and I'm going to call it S line. It's very original. S for string, right? S line. Now, I need to link. Now, this here is called my logical file. Logical file, that means it exists in primary memory. It exists in RAM. Got it? Logbook.txt is called my physical file. Physical, why? Because it's on disk. And that exists on like a memory stick or a hard drive, etc. It's stored permanently. This is a temporary file, right? T file. T file. Okay. So now, what do? I have to link my logical file to my physical file, and I use assign file. And first, my logical file, comma, and my physical file. Your physical file will be within quotes. I need to take that out. Okay, so we got assigned file. Okay, so we linked it up. So that means whatever I do to T file is going to happen to logbook.txt. Or let's put it this way, a copy of the data from logbook.txt has been brought into T file. Well, actually it hasn't been brought. Let's put it this way. They linked. Now, how do I go and bring the data from logbook.txt and put it in T file? Or in other words, how do we open the file? We use reset, and we use our logical file name T file. So you can look at it this two ways. Technically, accurately speaking, this opens the file for input to get data from it. In layman's terms, it basically made a copy of the data from there and put it in here. So from now onwards, I only refer to this T file. Then what you need to understand is at the end of a text file, there's something called an Eof marker, an end of file marker. So that actually is a invisible marker saying that this is the end, there's nothing beyond me. All right. It's not really there, but you get what I'm saying. So how do I go through a text file from beginning to end? I use a while loop. Why while loop? Because we don't know how many lines of text there are, right? But let's get back to the question first. If the text file exists, search in each line of the text file for the selected trainee's ID. If the trainee's ID is found. So we need to look for the trainee ID that we're dealing with. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. While it is not the end of the file of T file, that means while we haven't reached the end of T file, and T file is linked to logbook.txt, while we haven't, we need to get each line of data from the text file, and we do that using readln. Where are we reading it from? We're reading it from T file. And when readlen gets that line of text, where must it store it? In our variable S line. So readlen, read the line from T file, get that line of data and put it in S line. Okay, so we've done that. Now we need to check if the trainee's ID is found. The trainee ID, guys, is the first value in the line, yes or no? It's the first value in the line. So we need to find the position of your semicolon. We need to find the value of your semicolon because we want to get the trainee ID out. We want to compare that trainee ID to, now there's no trainee ID here, is there? Can you see this? Trainee ID doesn't exist here, but you know where it exists? It exists in our object obj trainee. So the trainee ID we're dealing with is here. It's stored in this one here. So we need to get the F trainee ID. Can you see that? If we get it, then we'll have it here. Okay. But first, from this S line, let's get the trainee ID. Okay. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to call it, I need another, oh, trainee ID is of type integer. Sorry, people. Trainee ID is of type. I'm just going to call it iTrainee of type integer. Okay. So I'm going to come here now. And I need to find the position of the semicolon. Position will return integer. So I'm going to call it IPOS. IPOS. So step one, IPOS is assigned POS. POS is string handling. It finds the position of what? What are we looking for? We're looking for the semicolon. Where are we looking for the semicolon? We're looking for it in S line. So in other words, people, 1, 4 is at position 2, the semicolon is at position 3, right? It's going to get that. You can assume that all of the trainees have only 2 digits, but don't. This is more general. So it's finding the position of S line. So for example, if we had 15 semicolon T, right? It's finding that position. It's at position 3. I need to copy this out. So come here and I need the trainee ID. So it's iTrainee is assigned, and it's not going to work, but I'm just going to put this copy from S line, from S line, comma 1, comma IPOS minus 1. But here's the thing, guys, that is an error. You know why it's an error? Because iTrainee is of type integer and this is getting me a string. So we convert that to an integer. Okay, let's run it. And we have 2 errors. And what are the errors? Into string is not actually going to work with because I made a mistake. It's not into string, it's string to int. I'm converting from string to integer. Okay, yeah, all right. Okay, so that's getting the trainee ID. So we've got the trainee ID. Now, once we get the trainee ID, right, If the trainee ID is found, that means there is a match. Then we will take out the next part of the string. And how do we do that? Now you'll notice that, what's it, hash, right? And let's assume 0.99 hours. Okay, 0.99 hours. Now, I want you to look at what happened here. I found the position. I copied the first part out. Can you see that? Now, I don't need this 12 anymore. So I will use delete, the delete procedure from string handling. Delete from where? From S line, starting at what position? At position 1. Wait, at position 1. And how many characters must I delete? Remember, IPOS gave me 3. So it's going to be IPOS. And what is that going to do? It means, if I just copy this here and put it here just to show you. Oh. It means it deleted that part and T is right at the beginning. Can you see that? T is right at the beginning. Okay, now remember, because it's T, now we can do the same thing. I'm going to come here and copy that. I need to pull this out only if I need to pull out the T and the 0.99 only if the trainee ID here matches with the trainee ID over here. And here's the thing. How do I do that? It's going to be if I trainee, that's the one we got from the text file, is equal to, from the object dot get trainee ID. Now, can you see that? We created the object and we're using it now. If the trainee ID from the object is equal to the trainee ID from the string in the text file, then we are going to do the following. All right. We are going to do the following. Right? Okay, this is what we're going to do now. Now we need to get the T or the S. Now, I can just go and get the first one out, but let's just do this the way it should be done. Okay. Because remember, different questions work differently. So what are we looking for? What's our second delimiter? It's hash. So we go look for the position of hash. And then, now this is whether you're a trainee, whether it was training or sales, right? So I'm going to come here and declare a variable. It could be of type char, people. It's fine, right? But I'm just going to declare that string, type string. So S T or S. It looks confusing. S for string, whether it's a T or an S, right? So I'm going to come here now. Is assigned copy from S line, comma 1, comma IPOS -1. You know, what's the other way of doing that, right? I could have just said, oh, is assigned index 1. That'll actually just get the first character, but I don't want to do that. I want it to be a general solution. Okay, so that took out the T. Right, that took out this part here. And then I'm going to come here and delete from S line, comma 1, comma IPOS. No, just IPOS. Okay, now if you look at this, right, what's left? Only the 0.99, only the 0.99, which is, it's either going to be the number of hours or it's going to be a sale. Okay, I am just going to come here and declare a variable. I'm just going to call it R value. Okay. So the only thing that's left in S line now is 0.99. This is the only thing that's left in S line. So I don't have to do much. R value is assigned string to float S line. So that's my value. It's either going to be sales or hours, right? And this is my TOS. Now, based on this variable TOS, we are going to call either update hours or update sales. Can you see that? Remember, update sales, update hours. What do they do? Where is it? Did I answer that question? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's either going to call this method or it's going to call that method. So if you look at the question, extract the entry type TOS and the value indicating number of hours. We did that. Use update hours or update sales. Okay, can you see that? So it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to come here and check now. If, remember, it can either be only T or S. So if that is equal to T, then OBJ, we have to use the object, people, dot update. No, it's going to be update hours. And no semicolon there because we're going to have an else, and it's going to be OBJ dot update sales. Right? Now we got update hours here. Yes or no? Yep. And we need to send our value to it, isn't that so? So we're going to send our value there, or we're going to send our R value there. All right. So there's that. How many marks was this? No, we didn't get there yet. Okay. Once again now, once all data from the text file has been processed, that means that you've actually reached the end of the text file. One, clear the output area. Which is the output area? I'll click on it. It's called red Q3. So I'm going to come over here. Once this is done, right? Once you've reached the end of the text file. So what are they telling you? They're telling you after, there's the begin for the text file. There's the end. Just going to get rid of the empty spaces, right? There's the end, enter, and then outside of the text file loop, dot clear to clear the output area. Display the information of the trainee in the output area. Display. Okay, let's go look at that. To display it, we use the toString, guys. Dot. No, we want to display it in our red Q3 dot lines dot add. And here is where we call our object dot toString, and let's go check it out. Okay. Click that, created, process. Oh, 118. Okay. One 118 is okay. Let's go run that again. .96 is not. Where is the error? Okay, let's now track that error. Let's go look at our text file. Oh, we're right at the bottom here. It gave us this error first. So, okay. Oh, let's just come here, go back here, and let's see what we're doing. Is there a space there? Okay, I'm just going to try something out. What does this do, guys? Oh, damn it. Sorry, guys. Please bear with me. I think it's my computer. It's not the program. Here we go. I'm using a different computer today. That's why. There. Can you see the decimal symbol in my computer is a comma? It should be a dot. Okay, so I can remove that line. Okay. There we go. Craig Biggie, 13. That's the training ID, attended 43.12 hours. Did I miss out the hours of training or hours there? And sold plants to the value of. Now, where are these values coming from? It's adding. Each time it found Craig Biggie, it found number 13, it either added to the hours of training or it added to the sales. Okay. So I'm just going to come back here. Remove that. And I missed out hours here. Okay. So let's go with Sandy Brown. Okay, why did this sold? Oh, it's because of this here. Okay. So I'm just going to go and change something now. I'm going to remove that because it'll automatically move it to the next line. Check it out. There. If I come here, Luvoyo. There. All right. So how many marks has that been? Oh, and these are your sample, right? Now you see Lindiwe. It says trainee is not registered. And where did it say anything? Oh, if the trainee's ID number could not be found in the text file, display the message the trainee is not registered. So let's go back. I didn't see that. So we're coming here now. If it finds it, right? If it finds it, it's going to come in here, right? But we create, well, my teacher taught me this when I was in grade 10, a flag. A flag basically represents whether something happened or not, right? And I'm going to come here and say flag is assigned true. If I find a match, then flag is assigned false. Now, what does that mean? If I find a match, flag will be false. If I didn't find a match, flag will be true. So the initial value before the loop is flag is assigned true. Flag is true. When will it become false? When it finds a match. If it doesn't find a match and the loop finishes, right? If it doesn't find a match and the loop finishes, flag is still true. So this should happen. If flag is still true, then this is what I'm going to say. No semicolon there. What was that message? The trainee is not registered. I'm being lazy now. Right? And then there will be an else, and that was Lendiwe, right? Let's go check it out. So that works. And if we go to Lindiwe, trainee is not registered. Oh, and then we also have to enable this button here. Okay, qualifies for a bonus. There's it here. Set that button to visible. So we come back here. And this will only, this is why I need a begin now. And an end, because this will only happen if they qualify. Dot visible is assigned true. So notice that I am always running it to check now, hey, is this part working, etc. And can you see qualifies for bonus came up there. And that's 18 marks, people. That's a lot of marks. And then we're looking at our last question here. Write code to do the following. Determine if the trainee qualifies for a bonus using the qualifies for bonus method. That's through the object. Display a suitable message in the output area indicating whether or not the trainee qualifies for a bonus, right? And I think this is a few marks. Yes, just 3 marks. Okay, so this is the thing you're calling. Check this out. In this button, you're going to call the toString method because this is from the toString method. And this is what we're going to display. Now, remember, if you look at our code, right, qualifies for bonus is going to return true or false. Qualifies for bonus is going to return true or false. So if we come here, and it's simply going to be, people, if obj trainee dot qualifies for bonus equals true, then well, two ways of doing this. I'll show you both. Then red Q3 dot lines dot add okay, never mind. Okay. And okay. And there'll be an else. Control C. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's go check it out. They process more than 15 hours, more than 1,200 qualifies for a bonus. Let's go with that one. More than 15 qualifies for a bonus. Tyrone or Tyrone. Did this person qualify? It's more than 15 hours, but is this more than 1,200? No. There we go. And that does it, people. Okay, 40 marks, people. It took me 1.5 hours discussing it with you and explaining it to you step by step and doing lots of different things. It should take you less than 40 minutes. So it's about practice. Now, here's the thing. I did tell you about this here, and I told you I would do it differently. Okay, check this out. I'm just going to make this a comment, right? And I'm going to come here and I'm going to call it S message of type string. And then what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come here and say S message is assigned Control C. I'm going to say this person doesn't qualify. Then I'm going to come here and put this in. Right? I'll show you how I'm going to change this now. I'm going to come here and do that. And no, it's not going to be, let's just cut that out. And this is going to say S message is assigned there. So if you look at it, I assumed it's not good, they're not going to qualify. If it's true, then your S message qualifies. I mean, it changes. And here, I'm just going to come and display, use the red q3.lines.add just once. I actually prefer this. If it can be either this or that, then this is like the most efficient, effective method to actually use. Remember, save your work regularly. Let's see if it works. Yep, qualifies for a bonus. Tyrone does not qualify. Okay. Right. So that was your question 3. Yesterday, we looked at a question 2. I told you by this evening, both these videos will be uploaded. And we've got some time. So let's go and look at question 4. Let's go there. Okay. Just give me a moment, guys. Okay. I did tell you that we look at some of the question 1s. Go over your parallel arrays. It's important. Okay. Where am I? Here. Okay. That's all saved. Close all. Question 1. Remember, I told you, go to view, file name extensions. When you open up your program, go and run it. Let's look at what this looks like. Actually, I like this question. And let's see if we can answer all of this in the 27 minutes that we actually have. Okay, there's your GUI. Write code to do the following for random number. Generate a random number in the range 100 to 120. Inclusive means it must include 100 and 120. If it said exclusive, then the values will be from 101 to 119. Display the random number. Oh, come on. And that's for 4 marks. It's an integer, guys. Right? So I'm just going to call it I rand of type integer. How do we generate a random number? Oh, it's still running. I rand is assigned random range, and it's going to be, what's it, 100 to 120. So 100 to, if I put 120, the highest market, the highest value it can generate is 119. So the first part is your start value. It will include the 100, but this must always be one more. It must always be one more. Since we're talking about that, I'm just going to show you something else. If they told you to read in a maximum number and a minimum number, right? So I'm just going to call it, this is just general, I min, comma, I max, right? I min is assigned 100. I max is assigned 120. How would I change this? It will be I min, comma, I max. This now, it'll be +1, because remember I told you it must be one more. All right. So, and we have to display it where? Here, EDT random number. So EDT, how do we put data in an edit box? It's dot text is assigned. It's an integer, so it's going to be int to string, and it's going to be I rand. Okay, And let's go run it. There. Oh, you saw the 120 was there. There, came up again. All right. So next part, and that was for 4 marks. Calculate minutes. If school dance has many learners participating, the organizers need to determine how long it will take to introduce all the participants. The time allocated to introduce each participant will depend on the total number of participants. So the following criteria will be used. If they are less than or equal to 20, what's the other way of saying less than or equal to? If they say a maximum of 20, that's the same thing. Or if they say up to 20, it's the same thing, right? Or if they say at most 20, they all mean the same thing. So per participant, it'll be 2.5 minutes. So whatever this number is, it'll be times 2.5 minutes. If more than 20, that means from 21 or greater than 20, and less than or equal to 50 or less than 51, same thing. You'll multiply that number by, you'll multiply the number of participants by 2.3. And obviously, if it's more than 50, right, it'll be times 2 minutes. The user must enter the number of participants. Get the number of participants from EDT participants. Calculate the total number of minutes that will be required for all participants. Display the value in the EDT minutes edit box to 2 decimal places. You got that? So let's look at this. I want you to look at this. If we use round to round it up, this will make it 33. But if we use round over here, it'll make it 48. Look at there, they're expecting 49. So remember floor and seal, right? Or sealing. Confuse the languages. So let's go and look at our code. So this is where we want to get it from, the number of participants. So we declare our variable I num participants of type integer. And because the minutes are going to be of type with decimals, so it's going to be of type real. Okay, so I num participants is assigned string to int edt p, yeah, dot text. Okay, so we got that. Now we need to check the number, right? Now here's the thing. You can go and do the calculations, but yeah, okay, let's do that. So firstly, if it is less than or equal to 20. Oh God, I'm opening up. So if I num participants is less than equal to 20, then our minutes is assigned times, what was it? 2.5. 2.5. Now, I want you to look at this here. In the next part, it says less than equal to 50. So if it is greater than 20, else if INUM participants is less than or equal to 50, then that's going to be 2.3, was it? 2.3. And this is why I like this. If it is not less than or equal to 20, then it's going to come here. It's never going to come here. It's going to jump here. And if it's not less than 50, then it's obviously going to be more. So we don't need another if statement. It's just if it's not less than 20 and it is not less than 50, then it's definitely going to be more than 50, which basically means you're going to multiply it by 2.0, I think it is. Yep. Okay. Sorry about that. And that is it, people. And we have to display it. Now, here's the thing. I told you seal, right? Because it has to move it up to the maximum number, I mean above. So we're going to come here and say R minutes is assigned seal R minutes. Sorry. And then display the value in EDT minutes, rounded off to 2 decimal places. And EDT min round. So I made a mistake. Before I do that, I'm supposed to display it. So it's EDT minutes dot text is assigned. Just want to look at the design here. Okay. Right. What's it going to be? Float to string F R minutes, comma FF fixed, comma 10, comma 2. And then it's going to do the seal. And we're going to come here and say EDT minutes round dot text is assigned. I'm just going to copy this. And that should do it. So let's go do our run over here. We got 13, 21, 50, 51. Oh. What? Oh, I must add a colon. $13, 21. 13. Oh. Can you see 32.5, 33? 32.5, 33. Then we have 21. That's why they give us the sample input and output so we can check, does our output match that? And there's it there, 48.3 and 49. Then we've got 50, 115, 115. Oh, they actually wanted us to round it off as well. And then we've got 51 and 102, 102. All right. We can go and try that. And it's going to give me an error. Is it? Nope. You know what we do here, guys? We go make that 0. So we don't need that. There we go. 0 decimal places. All right. So how many marks was that so far? That was 4. And this was 13. 13 marks, guys. And this is grade 10 stuff. Factorial. What is a factorial? A factorial is basically any number, and to work out its factorial, like it says here for 4, it'll be 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, which is 24. And I think the factorial of 6 is 120, which basically is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times, oh no, that's 720. 5 factorial is 120. So the user must select a number from the spin edit box, write code to extract the number, calculate the factorial, and display the result. See, 5, it's 120. Pretty straightforward. Because we need to use a for loop. So we need to get it from here. That's spin number. So check it out, guys. I'm going to come here and say I num, comma, I factorial. It's multiplication. Remember that, right? It's multiplication. Now, normally when we're calculating sum, before the loop, we say sum is assigned 0. When we are multiplying numbers, we say whatever variable is assigned 1. If we let it be 0, then 0 times anything is 0, and X for my loop. So I num is assigned spin. We're getting it from spin. SPN number. How do we get data from a spin edit? Value. Then I factorial is assigned 1, not 0. Then we have a for loop, and that's X, and it's going to go from 1 to I num. And only one line in here, people. I factorial is assigned I factorial times X, because X will take on 1 and X will take on 2 and 3 and 4, etc. Okay, and then we have to display it in EDT factorial. So we come here, EDT factorial dot text is assigned. It's going to be int to string I factorial O, and run it. 4 times 3 is 12. It's 24. There we go. 5 is 120. 6 is 720. It only goes up to 10. That's a big number. Okay, so, and that was 7 marks, guys. Let's go look at the code for 7 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6, 7. And it's not a lot of work for quite a bit of marks. Okay. And then we come to this. Oh, I like this question. We've got a few minutes, so let's try to finish it. The boy walked to school. You're going to reverse each word. You know what that means, guys? The first thing you have to know is how many words there are. The first thing you need to know is how many words there are. And to get the number of words, we count the spaces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, but there are 5 words. So we count the number of spaces and add 1 to it. Or we can do it a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you how now. All right. So let's come here. And this is EDT sentence. So Did I just, okay. Right, so I got var s sent of type string, right? And I'm going to come here and say s reversed, also of type string. Then I need an integer called I num words of type integer, because I need to count the number of words. And then I need to pull out each word. Now, here's the thing. Remember in the text files, we were using pos and copy and delete. Are you listening? Right? So if you look at it, I can copy, find the position of the blank, take out the first word, and then reverse that first word. And then I'll do it again and again. And I'll actually do it 1, 2, 3, only 4 times, because when this is done, the only thing left will be the last word. So I'm going to come over here and say, oh, firstly, s sent is assigned edt sentence dot text. Then I'm going to come here, I num words is assigned 0. Then I need to go through the entire string from beginning to end. Oh, by the way, the other thing I'm going to do over here is trim any spaces that are in the beginning or end of that sentence. So, okay, then obviously I need my loop. I'm just going to go and declare X there. Okay, and my loop is going to go from 1 to the length of the sentence. And what am I counting? If sentence index X, when X is 1, it'll check the first character. When X is 2, it'll check the second character. If it is equal to a space, then increment I num words, increase it by 1. So that's counting the number of words. Now, so if there are 5 words, I'm just going to pull out the first 4. So I'm going to come here and say s reversed is assigned an empty string. This is where I'm going to store my reversed word. I'm going to actually have to move a little quick, people, so you can watch the video tomorrow and things like that, you know, at your own pace. All right, and you can pause it when you need to. So s reversed is assigned an empty string. Then I'm going to come here for X is assigned 1 to num words. Why? That's the number of times I want to do it. Okay, and I'm going to do the following. Check it out. I'm going to come here and say, right, I need comma, I pos, and I pos is assigned the position. What am I looking for? I am looking for the blank in s sent. I'm just going to call this here S, oh, wrong place. S, comma, S. I'm going to call it S1, meaning 1 word, right? S1 is assigned copy from S line, comma 1, comma, I pos minus 1. That copied out the 1 word. Oh no, there's not S line. God, I'm thinking of text files. Okay, it's copied out the 1 word, right? Then I'm going to delete from that sentence, comma 1, comma, I pos. It deleted the first word. Now I have to reverse that first word. And that first word is S1. Can you see that? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to come with S rev 1. Check it out. That's S reversed 1. S rev 1 is assigned an empty string. Use another for loop. I'm going to call this Y, right? And it's going to go backwards. So the length of S1 down to 1. That's going to go backwards. And all I'm simply going to do is S rev 1 is assigned S rev 1 plus S1 index Y. It's actually taking the last character and putting it there and so forth. That's it. And when you come here now, S reversed is assigned S reversed plus S rev 1 plus, and I need to put a space there. Okay, just to show you how this works, we've got 2 minutes. Hopefully our host can just give me a few extra minutes, because just to finish this up, and that is going to be EDT reverse. I'm just going to come here and say EDT dot text is assigned. By the way, guys, there's something missing here. One word is going to be missing. Right? One word is going to be missing when I run this. And it's going to be, I think, the last word or the first word, the last word. What was this sentence? The boy walked to school. Hey. The boy walked to school. Ready? There we go. And look at that. Oh, no. There. And we look at it. The only thing that's missing is school. So you see this here that we did? You see this here, guys? We copy that and we come and do it one last time. But we do it not for S1. We do it not for S1. We do it for S sent, because the only thing that's left in S sent is going to be the word school. Oh, sorry. There we go. So what was the idea behind it? It's to pull out each word, reverse each word, and store it in a new string. There we go. The boy walked to school. I'm just going to do that and then do that so we can see that, right? The boy walked to school. Oh, damn it. It didn't reverse it. What did I do? Okay. What did go wrong? Oh, here, this is supposed to be rev 1, my mistake. There. Okay. There. The boy walked to school. You'll notice that there's no space there. This is why we keep running the program, because in the last one, there was no space for this last one, because I took that out. There. There we go. And that is your solution. Oh, yeah. Right. There we go. Okay. This is annoying. That's in the wrong place. Then you'll notice, well, these are little things. There we go. And that should do it. There we go. That's it. Okay. Right. So I hope that you guys actually found this helpful, right? Because it's string handling, etc. It's important for you to actually know all of this. And yeah, so hopefully we have next week, Saturday at 12 o'clock. I know you're going to be running exams, guys, but the thing is that you do need to prepare for your final exam. You're writing IT paper 1 on the 20th of October, I think. So we've only got like September. We've got like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and you're going to be writing your final IT paper 1. So please pass the message on to all of your friends from other schools. Send them the link, get them to register, because it is important. This is here. We're doing this. Africa Teen Geeks, together with UNICEF, the Department of Basic Education, independent newspapers, all of these people are here doing everything we can to assist you guys. And remember, it's just not IT, it's physics, it's life sciences, and mathematics. So please pass the message on and tell them that this is something that can truly, truly assist you. We've got an amazing group of teachers, experienced, that can assist you in finding your exams easy, relieving the stress, and hope that you guys can excel. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good weekend. All the best with your studies, and all the best for your IT paper 1 this coming week. Thank you and good afternoon, guys. Thanks, Tabiso.